Okay, so this is going to be a small video presentation on my database that I have created for my CIT 170 course. This database is going to be used for my small business, the Crow's Court. So the database I chose to design will help myself and my fiance Willie run our small business. Me and Willie create handmade products and we sell them online in local stores and at events in Kentucky and Ohio. So this database will record our product information, our sales, our expenses, and our inventory. It'll also, of course, have some extra information for us, like contact information for each of the stores that we're in. Things like that we'll get into in a minute. So the main tasks that I wanted to cover with this database, number one, I wanted it to store the cost of materials and output the cost of production for each of our products. I wanted that to be interactive, so if I changed the cost of a material, it also updated the product cost, because that was a big consumer of time for me in the past. So number two, store expenses. We needed to keep track of our store expenses so our taxes can be easily filed at the end of the year. That's another big problem that we've had, is just not having everything in a place where we can find it come the end of the year, and you can't remember what you see a charge on the bank account, but there's no detail there, and sometimes there's no good way to even really track where it came from sometimes. Number three, store sales. So we needed to record our information for each retail event, like craft shows that we may go to, stuff like that, or maybe online events that we may host, and also with our physical locations. So here's some business rules for the database. Currencies must be rounded to the nearest penny. This was sometimes some of our materials are less than a penny, so we just go ahead and round up to a penny. Database fields follow a mask for dates, and it also follows a mask for phone numbers. In our bill of materials table, our nth number will start at 0. This is just a convention that I prefer, because most arrays start at 0. For the expense table, there must be a type of purchase, like a material, a tool. This is for tax purposes, because you have to have all of this itemized out. Let's see. The vendor, so like for an expense, you need to list the vendor. The vendor could be labeled as other if the expense came from a seller who is rarely used, like maybe who, for instance, I'm trying to think, like I don't think Walmart is listed as a vendor for us, because we really try to not buy from the places that cost retail. We try to buy from people that sell wholesale prices. Let's see. So a purchaser must be chosen. It has to be either myself or Willie. It could be both. If both is chosen, this gets shared to the goes to the shared expenses table. That way we can split up those costs and know that, hey, maybe this purchase is showing up on my bank account, but that's okay, because we split the cost. So we know at the end of the year, for tax purposes, we need to split that. Let's see, for the materials table, the bulk cost field must include any shipping fees or taxes. So by default, if I just know the cost of the product, I go ahead and put the 6% tax rate on there. In the vendors table, vendors are often located outside of the US, so we didn't include a physical address, but we did try to include an email. The email is sometimes just a generic email to the website. It's not always like the email to a manager per se. So I think it would be beneficial to go ahead and just pull up the Crow's Court website so you can kind of see what we do. Like, this is a leather journal that was crafted by Willie, another one of Willie's leather wallets. And if we scroll on down, we'll see some jewelry. This is more of what I do. I design this jewelry. So, we needed some help tracking what each of these beads cost, what each of these spacers cost, And then this final product, the bracelet as a whole, how much did this cost us to make? And how many did we sell? And how many of these are in our physical locations? And how many do we have here on hand at the house? For this database, if you see warehouse, we're referring to our house. That is our warehouse at this time. So go ahead and open up the database. And let's get our switchboard. When the user opens the database, they have either the forms or the reports. It's just going to be myself and Willie working with this, so I wanted this to be pretty simple. This is enter expenses. That's not even spelled right. Oh goodness, I gotta go fix that. So we can enter a new expense here. It needs to have the cost, the date that it occurred, the vendor, and the type. Here are the types to choose from. So say this was like we were at a show and we needed to buy some food. That's like a travel cost. A show fee would be like the Bluegrass Creative Market in Lexington. We pay them for our booth spot. And you kind of get the gist from there. A small description. This can be any description. Payment type. This is not a set drop-down box. This is just whatever payment method that we use, because there are many. And then of course here's the purchaser. If it is both, it will go into our shared expenses table. So this lets us know that, hey, we both split this, it's okay. And let's see, let's go back to our switchboard. We can add a new product. So if Willie comes up with a new product, he can go ahead and put it in here. I really like this one. This is nice. Now this is our update inventory. I don't know if I'm crazy about this feature, because to find the record, it's a little bit time consuming. And this would go to, let's see, this is like our inventory by store. It's easier to go here and get the full report for it, so you can see like we have 2 brown agate here at the house, the warehouse. Or we could say over at local 68 we have no brown agate. No, we do, we have 2, so there's 2 right there. So this is much easier to update in the table itself, in the inventory table. Alright, so we can go back, and that's really all I wanted as far as the forms go. Reports are kind of more where it's at, I think, as far as like what we're going to use this for. So expenses by date range is really useful. So we could just say, like, for the month of April, let's see how much we spent. And of course we're going to use the date mask. So 2021, 04, let's just say 30, 2021. So here's all of the expenses for April. We can see what type it was, a little description, and then of course, here's the cost itself. We can also do sales by date range. So now, we can compare to how much we have made. And this report breaks it down. This takes, what we made. Let's say 307. Let's see. This one actually doesn't have as much. You know what? This. Actually, that needs to link here. Okay, so this is, it should be linking here. I need to fix that. So this is the profit by event or store, and this gives us an actual profit. So this takes our fees, and it takes in the credit card expenses and the other expenses, and it, it subtracts the fee from what we can see what we actually made here. Sorry for the lawnmower outside, but you guys can't hear that. So this is a much better example here. So we can see that the Bluegrass Market, it was $70 to set up. We paid $14 in credit card fees. We had some food expenses. And then of course here are our sales. So we came out making $480.78 at this show. So let's go ahead, and we know that I need to make a mental note that sales by date range, that is not correct. That needs to link to our just sales report. We can also see inventory, which is nice. So I could print this out and have Willie go over to Local 68 and maybe like with a pen just go through and change all these, and then we can come back to the database and actually update this. So if we take a look at our relationships here, we can see that we can pretty much start with our bill of materials, which lists out what is in each product that we have. So here our products have an ID and a name, and then this of course goes to the inventory, and this goes to our stores. The stores table just holds general information about the stores for us, and then of course we link our sales to our stores. The category table, it is mostly just here just to make the drop down, the search wizard work a little bit easier, so we can update that when we get new products. So from bill of materials, we can actually go down to materials themselves, and the materials table is very extensive. So we can see that, say we have a 10 millimeter ebony wood bead, size 10 millimeter, type round bead. This is the distributor where it came from. This is a drop down. So this is one of those instances where you could grab other if hey, this was like a one-off, I bought this at like a flea market, we're just gonna stick it under other. So we have the bulk cost, which does have the 6% tax already added onto it, and we know we get 40 beads per bulk cost, so we know that the individual bead is 25 cents, which is a more expensive one. If we come down here to the bottom, you can see that some of them, let's see, like this one, we had to just round this up to just a penny because it is less than a penny for both of these. We have our vendors, of course, our expenses, since our expenses tie directly to our vendors, and we have our transaction types. This is for tax purposes. We needed to know what each one was, and we needed to break those down at the end of the year, so that's super helpful. And let's see, under stores, of course, we have just our general store information for our sales. This is done by show. This is not individual items. We haven't made it that far as tracking goes just yet. So let's look, this is the last thing I'll show you guys, at the bill of materials. This is really like the bread and butter of this. I really enjoy this. So here is a bracelet name. It's called Bittersweet. That's what the bracelet is called. It's listed many times. So these are all of its items listed out and the quantity. From that, we can pull up our final wholesale retail. So this tells me that it cost me $1.91 to make. If I were to wholesale it, I'd sell it for $7.64 and I'd retail it for $13.37. If I were to go in here and update this, and let's just say that, let's just change this to 5. And then we'll go back to our final. Now it's, now, hey, this is updated in real time. Now it needs to retail for $20.37 because we added some more beads to this product. So that, this is like a big time saver. This is one of the main reasons that we really wanted to build this database. And I think that that's pretty much a basic overview of what we've done here. I don't think there's much more to add. If you have any questions, you can contact us through Facebook or Instagram. Maybe you're building a database and you'd like some information yourself. Well, a database through Access, of course. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching.